Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dan from UnitedQ. It's Wednesday, which means we have another awesome podcast to get you over hump day. I'm here with my co-host, Barbecue Forte.
Hello.
And we are brought to you by ProQ, Barbecue Gourmet, and Smokewood Shack, our awesome sponsors. ProQ is dedicated to providing you with quality smoking products with top-notch service and free advice for beginners to pitmasters. And you can find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under ProQ Smokers. So if you think about buying your first smoker, wanting to upgrade, or looking for authentic charcoal commercial smokers, check them out over at Max Barbecue. And Barbecue Gourmet is devoted to promoting real barbecue and supplying the UK and Europe with top championship winning barbecue rubs, sauces, marinades and accessories from the US and around the world. And you can find them on Twitter and online under Barbecue Gourmet. So regardless of how you cook, whether it's on charcoal, wood, gas or electric, the real taste of barbecue can be yours all year round. And on today's show we have Jamie Gibson, rugby player from Northampton Saints and blogger from Butter Wouldn't Melt. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. Not too bad at all. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. We've been looking forward to getting to chat with you. We both love rugby and we love cooking, and you love both of those things, so I think this might be a match made in heaven.
Exactly. You can't complain when you get to play rugby in the mornings and Saturday afternoon and then go home and cook a barbecue on Sunday, can you? So I can't complain at all.
So could you just introduce yourself to everyone so that everyone can know who you are and what you're about?
As you said, I'm Jamie Gibson. I'm a back row for Northampton. You know, I played up at Leicester, played at London Irish. But on the other side of things, I'm a big food fan. I've been cooking all my life, and for the last, must be 5-6 years have barbecued as many times as I can a week, effectively. Mainly on the a Big Joe, but looking to get my hands on anything else I can get hold of and see what I can play with.
Cool. Well, so where did the love of sort of barbecue come about? Is it more like, because I imagine you guys have fairly strict diets and follow fairly strict regimes and stuff like that. Is it just another way to try and spice things up a bit, get a bit different, add a bit of flavour in there to the usual standard sort of the protein sort of hits?
Well, I've always enjoyed my food, always enjoyed my cooking, and fortunately for me, I'm always a bit light. So I've spent my entire career so far being told to get heavier, to maintain weight and put on weight, and obviously the easiest way to do that is large joints of protein. And you know, my ideal cook would be a big joint of meat, whether that be red or white meat, and then leftovers for the next few days in stir fries and sandwiches, and just see what you can play with. So I know I have to eat plenty, and as you said, relatively clean. And you know, barbecue has always been a good way of doing that. And you know, one of my favorite hobbies, and especially over the last few months with the Butter Wouldn't Melt food blog, has been, you know, finding recipes that I enjoy from either chefs, from cookbooks, from, you know, things I've picked up over the years, and seeing how you can play with those by adding, as you said, smoke or different flavors. You know, the last things I've done recently has been, you know, playing with a bit of fresh pasta, but if I can smoke some meat on barbecue and put that inside pasta, you get best of both worlds.
Yeah, no, we've definitely seen you sort of popping up all over the place on Twitter and in the Countrywood Smoke blog. We've seen you and doing quite a lot of stuff with Marcus, and see you guys get on quite well. And has he helped you sort of with some recipes and bits and pieces?
Yeah, definitely. So I got to know him, must have been 6 months, a year ago, based on the fact that, you know, as a rugby player, he's down in Devon. You know, he likes his rugby. He plays himself at, you know, that's a pretty good amateur level. And then on the back of that, you know, I started talking about food. Started looking into different things I could do. You know, up to that point, I'd been not simple, but, you know, relatively sort of traditional in sort of an English barbecue, so to speak. So you have your staples, your sausages, your burgers. You know, my first ever thing I ever cooked was a butterfly lamb on the barbecue, and you know, I started talking to him about playing with, you know, your traditional low and slow cooks, that, you know, the sort of thing that you can read in a book, but unless you actually speak to somebody who's done that, you know, you never know quite the little tips, the little techniques to get them going. And you know, over the last 6 months, we've played with a few ideas. You know, been down to his place and sampled various things that I'd like to cook myself at some point, and then expanded from there into sort of probably less traditional barbecue cooking and more sort of classic cooking, and see how you can create flavour, see how you can adapt, sort of cooking from fire, cooking with smoke, into more classic cooking, basically.
All right, it really sounds like you are really sort of
Really on board with it.
Yeah, really on board with it, at a different level of food, and actually really sort of pushing things, which is awesome to see. I mean, that's definitely something that we really try.
The same sort of thing, really, of taking those like classic dishes and seeing what you can redo and enhance them using the barbecue, using the smoke, like you said. What's this going to taste like if we cook it dirty straight on the coals, or what's this going to taste like with a bit of smoke in there? So it's a great way to like completely like change a dish by adding like a whole new flavour profile.
Yeah, and we also try and a lot of the time we try and cook like almost 3-course meals. So we always like something that you probably order in a restaurant. We then try and take to the barbecue and cook and develop recipes that to see whether we can add anything to them. I mean, sometimes they're better off just cooked in the kitchen, and in which case that's fine. But also sometimes you can give a completely different spin on something. You can actually completely lift or elevate a dish to new heights with a bit of fire. In whatever sense, whether it be smoke or direct or indirect cooking, it's something that we really enjoy doing, actually.
Yeah, that's been the same for me. As I said, as I've got more into it, as I've tried, these different smokes, I was, lucky enough to pick up an order from Smokewood Shack the other day, and I think I bought every single type of wood he did. So, get my hands on all sorts of different flavours, different smells, and I've been playing with. You start off with your low and slow cooking, your ribs, your short ribs, your large joints of beef, anything, chicken wings, things like that. And then going from there, as I said, recently it's been, looking a bit of how you can play with sort of fresh pasta dishes, what you can put ravioli things inside. One of my favourite sort of celebrity chefs, I suppose, is Tom Kerridge. But, taking dishes that, all-in-one dishes that, traditionally you'd cook in an oven. And then seeing what you add, a bit of apple smoke, a bit of cherry smoke, does that make a difference? Does it make it better? Does it make it worse? I did sort of dough from potatoes on the barbecue relatively recently, and I used the hickory, and we came away going, wow, the cream took so much smoke that you can't taste any of the potatoes. So, as you said, some things work better in the oven, some things work better in a hob, but some things, just adds that flavour. One of the first things I remember talking to a friend of mine, a chef called Steve Durham, about when I first got into, actually picked up a Thermomix, if you know what they are.
Yeah.
From him a few years ago. And he always talked about adding complex flavours. So, a normal dish has one flavour. A slightly more complicated dish has, 2 flavours. Will that be, sweet and sharp? But if you can then add, a bit of chili, a bit of smoke, maybe a sort of a char-grilled edge from a barbecue. Then you add, sweet, sharp, smoky, hot, flame flavors, and you just make everything, just a simple dish, that bit more interesting, a bit more complicated without actually making it harder to do.
That sounds absolutely bang on. That's exactly how we feel, and that is just right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
one of my
go on.
things on that is that obviously, for me, I'm not a cook. I'm not a chef. I've never done it seriously. So I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a rugby player, happens to have an excuse with a plumber's hands. And I've loved speaking to people over the last, few months from the blog and on Twitter and social media about actually anybody can pick up an old barrel and fill it with charcoal and light it up and see what they can make with it. And it's something that people should play with, should have fun playing with, and if it goes wrong every now and again, then it's worth it when it goes right.
Really, I mean, you say like that you are just a normal guy cooking, but it really does sound like we have a chef on the line here, and you're coming out with sort of chefy stuff, and it's actually really interesting to see that actually, that is the normal guy now. We're so accessible to recipes and knowledge from YouTube, from Twitter. We can speak to top chefs now. We can speak to people like Tom Kerridge via Twitter, Instagram, and pick up tips and pick up pointers, pick up recipes, and really like the home cook of what was, I don't know, even like 5 years ago to compared to now is just a completely different kettle of fish. Like people now are just really surprising. You go to someone's house and they're really pushing the boat out with I'd say on more sort of average level now, people are actually just cooking at a much higher level. People are enjoying it a lot more. People are a lot more interested in where their food comes from, putting together different flavour profiles, and it's a really interesting time to sort of be in the food world, I think, because there's a lot of stuff happening.
No, definitely. I can't help but, speaking to friends at the club, speaking to friends from around, and, everybody, as I said, has been brought up, with your lasagna, your pasta sauces, and, the odd carbonara, and then in the summer you might like the gas barbecue and throw some steaks on there or some burgers and see what you can play with. But, I think more and more people, I suppose, are getting into, probably their fitness, their nutrition side of things, and then once you're into that, it's not a big step into food, and, there's nothing more boring than boiled chicken with a bit of broccoli and maybe some mashed potatoes. So, people get into food, and once you get into food, I think it hooks people, and, you can't get away from it. So, the more things you see, go on YouTube for 10 minutes, and suddenly 3 hours later you realise that you're still watching recipes and still playing with them, and, it's exciting and it's good fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite interesting, actually. I was just thinking then, as you were saying that about the rugby players and stuff, that Gloucester have actually quite into their barbecue food as well. I've gone ahead and opened up there between a few of them. Johnny May and a few others have decided to open up Grilled Shed, which there must be, it's a thing about barbecue and rugby. I think.
Yeah.
I think that it really goes hand in hand quite well.
No, definitely. I said any excuse to eat a large joint of meat. And I suppose if you want to start grilling some vegetables and getting a bit more playful on that side of thing, you can't complain too much. But a huge 6 kilo sirloin or 10 short ribs between 3 or 4 of you, can't really complain too much. And if it tastes good, then even better.
Yeah. So has your popularity in the team gone up? Are you having players around your house asking for some barbecue now a lot more?
It's been something that we'll start doing. We've got a few friends coming for Halloween. I'm planning to do a couple of racks of ribs and various different sausages, maybe smoke an either ox heart or lamb's heart and see what I can play with and create, a sort of a scary, spooky Halloween edible, skeleton, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I got a few ideas on that. Had a few people over last to try the water buffalo recipe a couple of months ago, and had a couple of boys over, and it's been good fun. Obviously, I recently had my second baby a couple of weeks ago, so everything's been a bit on hold for the last few weeks. But no, I can't wait to get back into it. My next aim is see what I can do with a beef Wellington. Thinking about whether you can sear it in dirty style in the charcoal, and probably thinking at the moment that you then cook it in the oven because you might pick up too much flavour. But would that add an extra element to what is one of the more classic British dishes, and just looking forward to playing around, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of disasters, but for every disaster, hopefully something goes right, and it's worth it in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think you could do that whole Wellington out in the barbecue. You don't always have to go like overkill on the smoke, do you? If you want to go in your Big Joe and just put charcoal in there and don't put a load of smoking wood in there as well, then you can probably still do exactly what you just described and not worry about over smoking it.
Exactly. That's. I think I'd probably try it a few different ways. Maybe at the same time and increase the amount of food that we're allowed to eat. That's the only thing I'm looking to pick up a wood-fired oven at some point, because I love the idea of being able to either sear or add a bit of smoke in the Joe and then finish it off either stone baked or under wood, where obviously you don't get quite such a strong flavour, but you still get that heat, you still get that flame cooking, and that's something that I'm looking to explore over the next few weeks and see what happens leading up towards Christmas through Halloween, autumn. It's a nice time of year. Technically the barbecue season's finished, but suddenly you get so many more options in terms of various things that are coming out this time of year. One of the things I love cooking with is pumpkins and squashes, and smoked pumpkin soup. Playing with I did a pork, a sort of, I suppose you'd call it almost a bomb, pork tenderloin stuffed with pumpkin, chestnuts, things like that. It's looking at autumnal flavours, and leading to Christmas where you get your ham out. Can you cure your own ham, smoke it yourself slowly, and a bit of apple or cherry, and see what you can play with.
Yeah, exactly what you just said. Really, it just sews it up. Really, like barbecue season, weather-wise, is over, but it's definitely never going to be over with the different food profiles that come out all year round, and we've always got something new and exciting to cook with each season that comes.
Exactly. And I think the time I probably convinced my wife that a barbecue cooking all year round was acceptable was must have been 3 or 4 Christmases ago where we did the turkey on the barbecue, and just for the first time ever, she actually said that turkey didn't taste dry. Obviously the thing about those ceramic barbecues is it keeps it moist, and 4 or 5 hours in a barbecue, and you still get this beautifully moist, crispy turkey joint. And the best thing about it is you got the space in the oven to do everything else, your potatoes, your vegetables, anything else you want to create. You've got enough space to do it rather than clogging up an oven and thinking, what else can you eat?
Yeah, exactly. My wife's the same. She was like making me not do it for years and years. It was like, no, it's too risky, and we finally went for it. And like you said, it's just, you're never going to go back because the flavour was that much better, and having all that space in the oven to do the extra things as well, it just was a win-win all round, really.
Exactly. I think my ultimate goal would be I think a bit like what Marcus has at the moment actually outside for him is a little sheltered area outside, so you can throw whatever you want, whether that means you've got a couple of barbecues, a wood-fired oven, an asado cooking section, somewhere. So basically, no matter what you can do, you can sit there and go, actually, I'm going to cook with 10 different pieces of equipment, but it means that, I've got space for everything, and everything's done perfectly. So if I can develop that one day, then I'll be in heaven.
Do you got the space for an outdoor kitchen at your house?
Not yet. We're currently renting at the moment, but that's one of the requisites when we buy a place. I've let my wife know that, and she's got her eye on the market. So
you're gonna have to put in a cot as well for baby Henry.
Yeah,
is he gonna join you outside?
Exactly. Yeah. So he'll join me. My elder boy, who's now 18 months, loves carrying boxes of bags of charcoal and smoking wood around. So we saw him recently with a bag of applewood in one hand and whiskey chunks in another, leading up to barbecue. So hopefully get them involved.
Awesome.
Yeah, don't need building blocks anymore, do you? You can just buy your kids some smoking wood.
Just stack some Smokewood Shack wood. Yeah, go for it. I was going to say, go on, mate.
No, continue. Sorry.
I was going to say you were talking about the heart dish. I was just going to go back to it because I was watching something the other day, and it was on a cooking series on Amazon Prime. I can't think of what it's called now, but it was with Niklas he's a Swedish chef who does a cracking. It was one of his sort of signature dishes in his restaurant, and it's a smoked reindeer heart taco with lingonberries. But he smokes it for a little bit and then finishes it in a cast iron, and it looks absolutely amazing. It's one of the signature dishes from his restaurant, which is I think it's a 1 or 2 Michelin star restaurant in Stockholm. But he sort of runs you through the recipe and the sort of flavour profiles and stuff. But it sounds absolutely amazing. You might want to go in there and check that out. It might be something for you to rock.
Definitely have a look at it.
Yeah, to rock or adapt for your Halloween feast.
We've always said that Halloween, I suppose, it's not really celebrated in England properly, but it's both myself and my wife's probably favourite time of the year, and chance to go out and I've been looking up things that you can create, and said see if I can create a full skeleton with food, edible skeleton, make it spooky if I can. Obviously, adding a heart is that extra little bit that you can play with. So one day, you could do heart, your liver, your kidneys, and see what comes of that. But probably it might be a little bit too far at the moment.
Need a lot of people around to eat it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, we've been playing with ideas. So see if we can do some poisoned coffee apples. Make them black, or see what you can do for witches' fingers. It's just been good fun. Writing down ideas.
Yeah.
Having a play with a few things. Some things don't work. You throw some things into charcoal and they go into flame straight away, and some things work brilliantly. So it's just great fun, basically.
Yeah, I remember last year people were playing around with, I can't believe it's a year ago because I remember seeing all this stuff like it was yesterday, but people were playing around with black burger baps and stuff, so they're putting food colouring in their burger baps, and that was like their Halloween twist. Squid ink or something like that. But also, go on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's the thing, thinking about, what can you do? I'm quite tempted to do like a charred onion or something, and if you could stuff that, and you open up this onion shell which is jet black, and something hopefully oozy and orange drips out, or red drips out, and just play with that. And I like the idea. I've grown up in there. I remember going to the Fat Duck, luckily enough, a few years ago, and obviously Heston Blumenthal is very much that sort of scientific cooking, but how can you create that with your own equipment? How can you change people's ideas. The favourite thing I ever saw was his bangers and mash, where everything was something different. So your sausage was actually potato, and your potato was peas, and your peas were little pellets of sausage meat, and not going to that extent, but how can you play with ideas? How can you serve somebody like a simple joint of meat that they cut into and they go, wow, that's not just a joint of beef or a butterfly lamb. That's actually got so much more to it. The flavors keep hitting them and keep coming.
Definitely.
I was looking on your website and I saw the recipe for water buffalo that you mentioned a minute ago. And what was that like? I've never had water buffalo before.
I would recommend it. It's obviously a lot leaner than beef, which means it's a little bit more tricky to cook. But it worked really, really well. I had it in a brine for 24 hours, and then cooked it quite slow, about 150, 160 for a few hours, and it just worked really well. It basically looks like beef, cuts like beef, and then gives you this slightly sweeter, slightly sort of not quite as earthy, but still with that sort of mineralistic flavour that you get from red meat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something I'm definitely looking to play with a bit more. I'm planning to go down and pick up a few more different cuts. I'd love to see if I could do some water buffalo short ribs and see how they go, or like the equivalent of a sort of a brisket, and just play with the flavours and see if it. Some people find brisket can be a little bit overpowering because there's so much flavour in that meat if you cook it for long enough. And just play with, can you get the same pulled meat effect with something that actually everybody loves and the children love, and just see what you can play with, basically. Water buffalo is something that's definitely in my eye line, basically.
Experimenting with all different flavours and stuff is definitely something that we all love. I mean, goat was something that the last sort of few weeks has been really popping off in the barbecue community and also the restaurant community around the UK with Goattober, which we've discussed. I'm not going to really go into it massively because we've discussed it quite a lot the last few weeks. But I mean, really, this last couple of weeks, I've had pulled goat. I've had all sorts. I had pork. I've had goat loin. For breakfast, I've literally been doing all sorts with it. And I've still got lots of stuff to come as well. So, I mean, it's again the goat shoulder that we pulled was absolutely phenomenal, tasting lovely, beautiful flavors, but completely different on the spectrum to your standard pulled pork. Or I would say it's not the same as, again, like I've done pulled lamb shoulders again, but it's different again, and it's something that I enjoyed experimenting with, and I will be playing with it more. The whole family were absolutely sold on it straight away, loved it, loved the flavours. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to be experimenting a lot more with. So yeah, these different sort of types of animal and stuff are really great to sort of get into and try things out, because there's no reason why not.
No, definitely, and that's one of the things I've enjoyed most, especially in the barbecue world, is that it's very, very affordable to cook. Your barbecue meats, your traditional barbecue meats, are your low and slow meats, which you go to a butcher and you cut a Jacob's ladder and it costs you £10 and it's going to feed 5 or 6 people. And most people think of meat being quite expensive, but if you've got the time and the patience, the flavour you can get from something that anybody can pick up, anybody can buy, anybody can play with is extraordinary. And it just also brings people together. You put a message up on, I said, the Country with Smoke, Facebook group, or message on Twitter, and instantly you get responses from 50 different people, some of whom like their cooking, some of whom happen to work in the city and never get time to cook but enjoy that food, some of whom run around chasing their kids all day and spend their whole life cooking fish fingers or alphabet, potato shapes, but everybody wants to get involved, everyone wants to help out, and the more people who do that, the better it is, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. With the water buffalo, whereabouts did you get that from? As you got
you're interested in is water buffalo.
Yeah, I want to get myself a water buffalo. Where did you find that? Which butcher's got water buffalo?
We were down in Winchester, and on I think it was a Sunday, in the Hampshire Farmers Market. We're in on the day, and there's a Broughton water buffalo farm.
Mm-hmm.
They're based in, I think, in Hampshire somewhere near Winchester, and they're in the market. I think it's every other Sunday or something like that. I think they might start being able to start delivering, but I just basically was in the market and saw this 3 kilo roasting joint, a water buffer, and thought, it's £10 a kilo.
3 kilos of meat, why not?
I was like, yeah, and so it vacuum packed, and I just picked it up, bought it immediately, and spent the next sort of couple of hours carrying it around Winchester, which you can imagine got a few interesting looks. But I've been looking around to see if I can source something from someone else to deliver, because as I said, the more people that get into it, it's sustainable, it's high quality, and it's good fun to cook, and it surprises people, because if you have a few friends over and you say to them, I'm planning to roast water buffalo joint, they go, what? And then they arrive and they're like, actually, they might go home and cook it themselves, and it's those little things that make people smile and make cooking worth it, basically.
Yeah, I've just looked them up after you said that on their website, and you can order it online. They've got like a pack of it. You can buy like 2 ribeyes, rump steak, diced steak, famous burgers, mince, topside, all as that a big package. So might be trying something else out this weekend.
Yeah, I think there was a company at the Exeter Food Festival that we went to that was selling. Yeah, so it might be worth having a look and see if there's anyone local. I know that there was like llama meat and stuff as well. I think there was like an alternative meat sort of company that were sort of trying to push animals like water buffalo and llamas and stuff for more than just their wool. They were taking them that step further, and sort of similar to, I remember the llama one was quite similar to the kid goat sort of story, where they weren't really like the male babies weren't really of use and more of a cost than anything, so they were rearing them for their meat. So yeah.
I don't drink much llama milk or eat llama cheese.
I don't know. I wasn't really listening, but it was something like that. All I remember is that she had samples and it tasted good, so I don't know. We need to look out for llama as well.
I've always like that. I remember a few years back I spoke to a company about who was bringing kangaroo and ostrich and crocodile over to the UK and selling those sort of meats, and I had a go at a few of those, and you get some slightly interesting results and different things, but there are a lot, as you said, so goat's big at the moment. I've just ordered a couple of joints of meat to have a play with that, and the water buffalo, I'd love to try llama, but then your bird meats as well, all sorts of different birds. You've got your traditional chicken and turkey, but being able to play with your game meats, whether that be pheasant, partridge, other game birds, or rabbit, hare, all those little things that you see running around every day, and actually cooked well, absolutely delicious, and surprises people.
Definitely. I mean, I know that we're talking a bit more out there birds than turkey. I cooked a turkey yesterday, but yeah, I mean, definitely game meats is something that I find really interesting, but I don't know, people seem to be intimidated by, but I don't really understand.
What did I have the other day? Was it quail, wasn't it? I think I had.
Yeah, and then you
quail.
cooked.
I'd never had it before, and it was like on a bed of pearl barley, and I've suddenly got like an obsession with pearl barley now. I'm just trying to use it wherever possible because I just really enjoyed it. But yeah, I've got to that point now where when I go to a restaurant, I'll pick the thing that I've never had before. I just want to try like everything.
I mean, you cooked venison the other day as well.
Yeah, the venison. I've done it a couple of times before, but my kids had never eaten it before, and the same with goat.
I love venison.
Yeah, and the kids
loved
it as well, I was really surprised. I didn't think they're going to like it, but like they actually preferred it to beef, I think.
Most of those meals, so beef, as I said, for some people, it's strong. It's you get that mineralistic taste, that bloody taste that people love. But some people it can be a little bit overpowering. And as you said, venison, water buffalo. I suppose goat, they're all probably slightly different flavors that people don't know about, which means that they try them because they're interested in them, and then they may find that they like them more, or they like the idea of them a little bit differently. And I suppose the only thing about those game meats that might put people off is that you definitely have to cook them outdoors, because cooking them in the kitchen, your house smells for God knows how long afterwards. But once they're cooked, they're perfect.
I don't know. I haven't used my oven in the house for so long.
It's like a storage cupboard now, isn't it?
Yeah, just keep all my barbecue equipment in it to take outside.
I mean, just because we're on the subject now, I've actually gone online. I'm looking at this alternative
Llama?
meats company.
He's
So
obviously got the llama story sorted out now.
no, it's just they've got a whole list of exotic meats. So they've got alpaca meat, bison meat, buffalo meat, camel meat, crocodile, elk, goat, horse, kangaroo.
Crocodile is weird.
Yeah. You got like crocodile burgers in the picture here or something in there.
Not horse.
It was very tasty, but it was very unusual because it's sort of got the texture of fish, but tastes like chicken.
Do you know it's weird saying that? I was watching that. What's that? Bear Grylls on the island thing with the celebrities, and they killed what they called there. They're not called crocodiles, but they're like little crocodiles. What are they called?
You think of an alligator?
Not alligator. They're like smaller versions of them.
What? A lizard?
Baby croc?
Something like that. Anyway, they killed it, and that's exactly what they said. They said it was like a weird mixture of like chicken, pork, and fish, like a really strange sort of texture to it. And it was like, yeah. So it's strange you said that. I think I did have a go at alligator or crocodile once, but I was too young to really remember.
Yeah, I'm sure I've had an alligator burger before, but I can't remember what it tasted like.
I wrestled one to the death once, and then just cooked it. You know,
you threw a hole onto the outdoor barbecue that you lit with a couple of sticks.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah,
that was when you were out with Bear, wasn't it?
Yeah, me and Bear Grylls just chilling. Yeah. We were wrestling. Yeah. Well, let's move on.
Yeah, you were cuddling him, weren't you?
Giving a big bear hug.
Yeah, I like the sound. I also like, and it's not overly alternative, but I like the idea of doing like a suckling pig. I quite like to do that on. I've got the Jotisserie. I'm pretty sure you'd be able to fit.
That is something that I am so jealous about at the moment because I see all these people putting photos up of cooking on their Jotisserie, but they don't make one yet for a Big Joe.
Yeah, it serves you right for being too spoiled and buying yourself a big one.
No, I just thought that if you've got a chance to buy something that's bigger,
it's better.
Then you can cook more. You know, I can get a whole 6 kilo joint of beef on it, or as you said, 5 or 6 racks of ribs on their side. That it means that I could then on a Sunday, if I've got a few friends coming over to watch the American football, you could feed 50 people rather than just your meager 20 people from a classic Joe. So
yeah. I'd 100% have. I'd definitely have the big one. It's just getting it round the back of my house was going to be impossible, so I had to go for the smaller one.
We catered for 100 people the other week at a Kamado Joe demo event with one of the Big Joes, so definitely can cook for massive numbers on them. They really are. We had the grill extender as well, so it was like you had such big grill space.
It's been brilliant. So I've not probably used it for its full capacity in terms of for numbers yet because I haven't had much of a need to cook for more than probably 10, 15 people at a time. But I find the ability you can to probably more than the classic because you've got your charcoal divider or because it's such a big space, the ability to bank coals on one side and as a result have a sort of a semi-indirect heat for meat. Without risking burning, but getting your nice browning of your food, or cooking in a couple of zones with vegetables and things like that, just because you've got that much more space, just give you the flexibility to move things around, to play with temperatures, to play with flavors, and it does mean that you have that bit more charcoal, and if the charcoal gets hot, it doesn't cool down very fast. But it's been brilliant, just giving you that flexibility to put 2 or 3 things on. I said, you're talking about trying to do whole courses or whole meals, and to be able to do a full sort of roast or dinner, with your what did I do the other day? I did pork belly, with caramelized vegetables to make into a sauce, with a potato gratin, sort of creamy gratin dish to one side, a smoked apple on the others, and then roasted carrots and parsnips in the middle, and to be able to do an entire thing on a barbecue at different levels, different zones was good fun to do, and quite an experience to be able to create just everything with one piece of equipment.
Definitely. Then all you had to do to finish it off was to put on a smoked apple crumble whilst you're eating your roast dinner, just out there smoking in the Joe, and then you would have had a full meal there.
That's something I have to do. I'm looking forward to doing a New York cheesecake at some point.
Awesome.
The thing I've done a few pasta recipes recently, so that means I've been playing with flour and dough for the first time, and not done that properly before. My wife's a very good baker, so I've not done much baking, but I'm looking forward to trying different. Whether I can do some bread dishes on there, to create your own breads, or those are little things I've not yet expanded into, but looking to do that quite soon.
Definitely. A really good way of getting smoke into those sort of things is also cold smoking. Have you given cold smoking much of a go? Because you could like cold smoke butter and stuff if you're making pastry, and that really gets...
It's on my list. My wife insisted that I don't buy everything myself, and so that she can give me a couple of presents every now and again. So that's one of the things that I've kept back on a sort of maybe a Christmas list or a birthday list.
Well, if you're listening, the ProQ CSG will be a great Christmas present for Jamie.
I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, no, I literally love it at the minute. I mean, cold smoking, I suppose everyone's been saying it in the Countrywood Smoke Forum, it's cold smoking season. I, to be honest, didn't really stop cold smoking, but it just stops you doing particular things. I mean, you wouldn't want to leave fish out in sort of those temperatures and stuff, so it stops you doing some things, but if you've got a cool place, you can do it all year round. So I have been doing it most of the year round, but also at the same time, it is a chance now where I can get up in the morning an hour early for work and put something on smoking, come home from work and have like some beautiful smoked cheeses, or get the bacons going for the Christmas period. So you come home and you cure your pork belly. So at the minute I've got 2 sides of salmon curing in the fridge and a pork belly curing in the fridge. So I'm looking forward to smoking those. There'll be cold smokes that I'll set off in the morning and leave them to go for the day, because it'll be good to get like a good 8-hour smoke on those, and then vac pack to rest before going back on for another session of smoke. But yeah, I mean, the cured meats tend to take smoke a lot better. So when you're saying 8-hour smoke, it's not as intense as what you're talking in like a hot smoke. It's not going to overpower it. It'll be fine still. But
no, that's something I definitely want to do and get involved in. And now I'd love the idea of one Christmas being able to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
So not have to buy anything. Obviously, you'd pick up a few things, but be able to smoke your own salmon, and then do your full Christmas dinner. Make your stuffings, make your whatever you do with your Christmas. Your sauces, your meals, maybe your ham for around Christmas. Potentially do breads or things like that to eat with your salmon, and do it like an entire sort of festival cook. Not necessarily all on the barbecue, but be able to have the capability to say, actually, I'm going to speak to my local butcher and fishmonger, and I'm going to say, well, can you just give me a salmon and a saddle of beef and a couple of hams, and then have the chance to play with a bit of butchery. You fillet your salmon yourself, smoke it. As I said, add butters. Make your own garlic butters, your own smoked butters, nuts, cheeses. I think that would be, in terms of Christmas, like an ideal Christmas, or any time of the year, just be able to just open your capabilities up. So that,
it's a real sense of pride as well. Like when you're sat, like you're saying, I mean, something like that is over the Christmas period. If it was like to be almost like you've done everything yourself, and it is like just simple things like sitting down at breakfast, like you were saying, and then pulling out the smoked salmon from the fridge to have for some scrambled egg, and actually you made that smoked salmon, that's yours, that you made a couple of weeks back, that's been cured, been smoked, so much love and care has gone into it, and I guarantee you it's going to taste better than anything you've bought from the shelves before. I mean, bacon is never going to be the same for me, I'm afraid. I cannot buy bacon that even touches the stuff that I make at home myself. Not being big-headed, but I just think that anyone that's been through the same process will feel the same as well, and I think it's really simple. Bacon's such a simple thing to make at home, and I think that the product that you yield is such a good quality product. It's so easy to get, and I'm just it does give you a massive sense of pride, really. So I think that exactly what you're saying is true, and that would be an amazing experience.
You're really, really hard for me not to buy cold smoker right away. So it's just
and if you get onto Smokewood Shack, like all of their smoking wood chunks and chips they also do them in dust as well. So I've got like all of your whiskey smoked oak in dust form as well, so you can still get all those lush favourite flavours in a cold smoke.
that's it. It's sort of it just the ability to be able to do everything yourself. As I said, it gives you full of pride, and I said it's something that I said over the last couple of years we've experimented different food. My wife's been quite into sort of a more paleo style sort of food sort of way of looking at things. And that got us into looking at we emptied our larder out of all the the sauces you have, and we decided that not going to follow it strictly. We're going to have gluten and rice and bread every now and again, but it just at the moment what we decided to do on the back of it is say, well, if we can't name every single ingredient in the thing we're eating, then we don't really want to cook it, or we don't want to eat it ourselves. And to be able to go around and, he said on the back of that, say, well, actually, I don't need to buy a ham which has been smoked in some way. I can do it myself, and as a result, I can not only name the ingredients, I can show you the ingredients, and just that sort of thing. Just for in terms of, I suppose, a little bit of a way of life of being able to have the pride that you've done it yourself, but more importantly, from a health purpose or a nutritional point of view, just to be able to say, actually, this is where all the ingredients came from. I know that I sourced them from these places that I trust, or I went to my local butcher or my fishmonger or your local grocer, and everything came from that. And it's just it's quite a cool idea to have in your mind, and something that I'm looking forward to one day hopefully being able to do completely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's brilliant. We've had the recent event that we were catering for, like people coming up, and like people with, sometimes it's allergies, sometimes it's health related, just they would just want to eat a certain way, asking questions about like what's in the sauce. And quite often, if it is like a bottled sauce or something, you can kind of read the back of it, but you're not 100% sure what's in it really. Sometimes it will just say spices or something. So because we made all our own stuff, it made it like a lot easier for us to be able to help people out with what their requirements were, because we made every single thing in it ourselves.
Yeah, that was something they said. After I'm not sure what happened, but for some reason during my wife's first pregnancy, she became gluten intolerant. Mm-hmm. And actually, rather miraculously, during her second pregnancy, she's gone back onto gluten. So the intolerance has completely disappeared, which I'm not sure how you explain it, but it did mean that for that couple of years in the middle, we had to completely change the way we did things. And the thing I loved doing that process was finding ways to have your traditional dishes that will have gluten in without it. And obviously, certain things don't work very well. Pasta is difficult, and breads can be hit and miss, but cakes are just as good. I remember doing we did a whole dinner for some friends, and we made the whole thing gluten free, and we roast chicken, and made the roast chicken and the bread sauce gluten dairy free because we had a friend who was dairy intolerant coming over, and being able to take flour out of the place but replace it with other things, or just reduction on the hob, or and then pudding. My wife said is a baker, and it's a bit unfair, but if I get home and be told I've got 33 cupcakes that somebody has to eat. But she experimented with them, gluten free, and a lot of things turned out even better gluten free, and that's another thing that got us looking at different ways to cook. Can you take something that is a bit bland just because you've got one key ingredient missing, and can you make that actually even better than the original thing? And gluten, he said, those intolerances, being able to avoid gluten or fish or dairy, doesn't mean you can't eat good food. Doesn't mean you can't eat the same food. It just means you have to think a bit harder about how you get there, basically.
Yeah, no, definitely. Something that really inspired me is Michael Pollan's, I think it was called The Four Elements, which is like a Netflix series, and he talks about some intolerances and stuff like that. And I just think that he draws on the fact that a lot of sort of gluten intolerances and stuff are because that when you look at a loaf of bread now, there's 35 ingredients on the packet when there really should only be 3. I mean, when we trace back to bread's been one of the staples of sort of life in many countries. For thousands of years, and there's never been intolerances until today, and it's because people are messing around with the ingredients so much, and it's not bread anymore, and it's just sort of goes back to that what you were saying about if you know everything that's going into something, then actually I just think that sort of style of life, that lifestyle of if I buy everything fresh, and whatever I make from it's going to be fine, going to be good for me, going to be healthy. And going to taste good, which is awesome.
Exactly, it makes also cooking that bit more enjoyable, rather than instead boiling your pasta and taking your pot of sauce out of the fridge and putting the whole thing together and then having supper, you sit there and go, actually, I'm going to make some pasta myself and leave the dough to rest. While the dough's resting, I'm going to make a tomato sauce and roast some tomatoes that I can then blitz up and have add a few flavors. And suddenly you go from just being a simple meal to how can I make this fun? If you've got kids around, you can set them to chopping up the onions and the garlic and the tomatoes and stirring the pan when you're not looking and hopefully not pinching too much food off the chopping board. But I just think it's the sort of thing that I remember just growing up. I love preparing food. If I have a barbecue with a few friends over, I try my hardest to get everybody involved. Whether that means that people sticking meat onto skewers or turning things over in a barbecue or spraying. If I'm doing a long roast and I want to keep something moist and spray an apple, olive oil, cider vinegar sort of spray onto the food every half an hour. Putting somebody else in charge of it, and just the whole thing brings a few people together, gets people enjoy the food, and then eating the food that they've had the part to play with. And as you said, when you make it yourself, even if you've not done much of it, it does taste a lot better.
Definitely summed it up there, 100%. Right, we are at the hour mark, so I'm going to. Well, we're actually not. We're at the 45 to 50 minute mark, but we promised Marcus that we'd give him a quick call for 10 minutes as well. So we are going to, even though I'm sure we could actually talk for a little bit longer here, we're going to have to call it a day and say thank you very much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me on, and I said anytime you want, let me know, and I'm happy to pick up the phone. And at some point we'll have to come together and see if we can play with a bit of food together at some point.
Definitely, bro. Definitely.
That'd be amazing.
I mean, Marcus is always up for hosting
so,
and getting some people around. So I mean, I'm sure it'd be awesome to meet up and get some cooks going. Definitely.
And if you're ever in the Midlands, I'll speak to the Buffalo and see if I can bring a few joints of Buffalo over and we can have a play with that.
Yippee,
wicked,
yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Cool. Thank you very much, bro.
Well,
thanks for coming on.
Mate.
Thanks for giving up your time, and it's been awesome chatting to you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Speak to you soon. That was cool. That was.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
So into food, isn't he?
Yeah. I've seen him posting loads sort of in the Country Wood Smoke forum and on Twitter recently, and I've seen some of the caliber of food he's putting out. It looks absolutely amazing. But yeah, wasn't expecting such like a chefy and sort of outlook on things as that. That was really cool. Hello?
Hello, it's Marcus.
Hello,
Oh.
you're right.
We thought it was some Norwegian guy calling him.
Norway calling me.
My name is Lars. Yeah, I'm offshore at the moment, guys.
Hello, Lars Borden.
I'm offshore doing a bit of work for a change, so yeah, all good. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Yeah, good, thanks. Nice to speak to you. I haven't chatted to you for ages.
We've actually just spoke to
Right.
your friend. We had Jamie Gibson on.
Oh yeah, how'd that go? He's a top bloke, he is.
Yeah, really good. Really
How did that
impressed
go?
actually. Yeah, like we were chatting to him about all sorts, and it really his sort of passion for food in general, and like his knowledge of food really sort of came through, which was really awesome. I mean, I've seen a lot of his stuff that you guys have been chatting about on Twitter, and I've seen him posting in the Country Wood Smoke forum recently, and it's been I've seen him put out some amazing stuff. So yeah, it was great chatting to him actually.
Oh, he's super keen. He's got a good set of flavours that he plays with as well. A bit different. He's a good guy.
Yeah, no, definitely, and also an absolutely awesome rugby player. So
Yeah.
ticks 2 boxes for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I thought I'd give you a quick update on how things are in sort of Country Wood Smoke. It's all going well. It's quite an interesting sort of time of year with the sort of seasons changing and get everything going more autumnal and cold smoking and game. And it's quite an exciting time at the moment, seeing how the sort of group's developing.
Definitely, we saw the other day. I mean, you are approaching the 5,000 mark.
Yeah, definitely not far off it at all. So yeah, it's a big milestone really. So
Yeah, no, amazing.
Super proud of the group and what everyone in it puts into the group. It's amazing.
Definitely, I mean, it's something that we talk about quite a lot on here, the Country Wood Smoke group. If you're not,
mentioned pretty much every episode.
yeah,
I
if
think,
you're not a
isn't it?
member, guys, that you need to get involved. It's something that I've learnt so much from this sort of past year. I've been a member not a year now, must be
Couple, probably
a few
now.
years now, yeah. Since I've been a member,
Yeah.
I've learned so much, and I still do. And like, I don't know, just inspiration and stuff. Like we a lot of us get our inspiration from social media these days. I mean, I wish I could travel around the world every week, but it's not a realistic thing. So we look to social media that makes the world smaller and also enables us to get inspiration. And some people are putting out some amazing food week in, week out, and it's really, really good to see.
It is, and it's about community as well. You know, barbecue is about community and family and friends, and you know, and that's, you know, that shows in the group. It is the community side of it is such a big thing.
Definitely. So
It's great to see.
Any cooks particularly caught your eye the last sort of week or so?
Well, it's all been about the goat, really, hasn't it, recently? Yeah, there's been some pretty amazing goat. I did the goat-style picanha myself and loved that. But yeah, just the general sort of goatiness has been really cool. But it's great seeing there's a lot of bacon coming on now as well. People smoking their own bacon, and people getting back into the cold smoking as well.
Definitely.
And there's some really good cold smokes, sort of, you know, showing up now, and that's really great to see.
Yeah, I've got 2 sides of salmon, and I've just said it. You want to? It's weird because normally we don't have like
episode,
2 guests, so it's like strange now talking to you about what I was just talking about, because people who are listening are going to have already had it, but you haven't, so it's sort of weird.
Yeah.
But I was just saying that I've got 2 sides of salmon in the fridge at the minute, and a pork belly cured at the minute, which I'm looking to cold smoke. So definitely, cold smoking season for me.
And then we got the big C word coming up, really, as well. So, you know, starting to see a few sort of turkey cooks appear. And I just did the asado turkey, but I saw that people were starting to experiment. And you had your little pincushion turkey that I saw. That was, you know, you were stabbing skewers into. So, yeah, that looked really good.
Yeah, no. Tell us more about the asado cook. How did that go?
Sorry?
Tell us more about the asado turkey cook. How did that go? It looked really interesting. Looked like it was really good. Yeah,
so, I mean, the common thing, I guess, is lambs and sides of beef and things. But I had a quick look, and I thought maybe some turkey that I could see on it. And I thought it was perfect. You know, spatchcock it out and shove it on the cross. And it was one of Tom Bray's crosses. So, you know, it was a great bit of kit, and just, you know, wired it off and literally just cooked it over some silver birch. It was fantastic.
Awesome. It looked really cool. Looked really good. And I was a little bit surprised that it didn't like sort of like the legs didn't break off or anything, because you really like stretched it right out and sort of tied it right out. It looked really good. Really impressed.
Literally, as I took it off the cross, one of the legs started to come off. So for me, that was perfectly cooked. You know, literally, you know, it just started to fall apart as I took it off the cross, which I think is perfect.
How long did you have it on
the
there
nice
for?
thing was about that was it was about 3.5 hours, 3.5, almost 4 hours. So it was a good. You know, most of the time was the bone side down, and then I flipped it for the last sort of hour or so on the breast side down to crisp that up.
Beautiful.
And that the cross sort of supports it a bit on that side. So it was really cool to use that. Yeah, I'll be doing some more cross work, some more asado. So
awesome. I know.
Again, it's great seeing the guys in the group doing asado. You know, Simon Dyer, there's Tom Bray and Martin Anderson. John Gower's doing it all the time, and David Deadman. There's some real amazing talent in asado, and it's great to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a really exciting sort of style of cooking, and it really is sort of, again, another step back to the just sort of Mother Nature of just fire and meat, which is really cool. Yeah. And it's really been great to see.
Sometimes with all the kit, it's good to get back to basics again, and that's definitely that.
Yeah, completely agree. It is. At the same time, I do love my kit and always use it, but it is awesome to, like you said, take it a step back and go a bit more natural and just go with the elements as it is. But something awesome that I would love to give a go over this Christmas period is when I was over at the Big Grill. It was like a Brazilian style of cooking. They were sort of hanging. They had chickens hanging on like a wire, and that was like over the top of sort of like some embers that they had burnt. Or some wood they had burnt down to embers, and then they were taking about 4 hours to cook, and they were basting them with like a big hairbrush, and it was like sort of like basting with like a brine sort of solution, really, and they turned out absolutely awesome. I think that it would be a pretty long cook though on a turkey. If a chicken takes 4 hours, you got to be talking sort of six to
hanging a few turkeys on some strings. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of. I would like to give it a go. That sort of Brazilian style, hanging them up and spinning them over the fire and keeping them basting. But I think you'd be talking. It's got to be about a 6 hour cook really plus. So you got to have some patience with that one. But I would love to give it a go over the Christmas period. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sort of experimenting with a few different turkey cooks as well. I'm going to cook one in the Cajun microwave as well, and see how that comes out. And then we're going to do a bit of a sort of turkey special in the winter issue of the magazine. So
awesome.
Looking forward to having a few more turkey cooks. Good thing we like turkey in our family.
Are you a briner or a non-briner? You're a non-briner, aren't you? Non-briner. For me, it's about absolutely nailing the temperature. You get the temperature right, and then you can have a juicy turkey. But I do think brining's good, but sometimes it's an extra level of hassle. Yes. So okay. So when you say temperature right, what you're cooking into internal temperature or your cooking temperature, like your ambient sort of temperature?
Your internal temperature.
Okay, so what should we be going for the perfect juicy turkey? What sort of temperature would you aim for?
Well, I think the official thing's about 70, but I take mine just a shade below that and just hold it for a long time. And I know where I get my turkeys from. They're pretty safe. The local farm turkeys, from a little farm, and I'm pretty happy. I feed that to my family, and I'm happy with that. But I think it's like 72, isn't it? It's got to be official.
Yeah.
But sometimes that can be a little bit dry things out. So if you are going to take it up a bit higher, then it might be worth brining it. But I find a long, slow 3 or 4 hour cook at slow temperatures, and it keeps it really juicy, and then just blast it up at the end.
Nice.
And that always works for me.
Take it off before it hits before it hits the 70 degrees. Wrap it up and rest it.
Yeah.
Let it come up a little bit further, but come up a little bit slower again during its resting, and you're looking at a real juicy turkey then.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you take it up to 70 odd degrees, on in the cooker, then the sort of carryover will take it, push it sometimes up to near 80, and you've got a dry turkey there.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
Watch that carryover.
And again, it's gauging the breast to sort of leg ratio, because your breast normally cooks quicker than your leg, and then if you're cooking for your leg to hit 75, some people go for, then your breast is going to be pushing 80, 85 before you even brought it off. So it's catching it at that right time with your two differences of temperatures there. Probably your breast just going over 70 and your leg just approaching 70. Bring it off, wrap him up and rest him, and he should come up to a nice temperature.
You got it. And the nice thing about cooking it on the cross was that the legs were closer to the fire, so they were getting more of the heat. So, they could take a bit more of the heat than the breast, which was really good. It's a nice way of cooking it.
Definitely.
What else can we expect to see in the next edition of the Barbecue Mag?
I believe, Ben, you are doing, what was it you're doing again? I know Kelly was doing sort of side dishes on the barbecue. What was it you're up to, Ben?
I think we're going to do some stuff like some inspiration, I guess, from the our barbecue book that's coming out for the Christmas period. So we're going to get some of the stuff to do with that. It's going to come in there, and I'd like to just all sorts of festive related stuff, I guess, from me.
Yeah, sort of different alternatives, I guess, that you can cook on the barbecue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not your everyday usual standard stuff. Get some new things in there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I would like to see someone doing. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
Go on.
No. Honestly, carry on. You were going to say something. I don't want to cut up. What were you going to say?
I'm trying to nail down a few good interviews as well. There should be some pretty good ones coming up. We've been working hard behind the scenes to get some top people involved, so that should be good.
Awesome. I saw Frances Marmon with another chef. I can't remember her name, but she was doing it was like a big veggie sort of centerpiece on the barbecue, and it looked pretty awesome.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a big veggie roll sort of thing, where like on the outside she
wow.
and I might have a little go at that and post that in Country Wood Smoke as a little bit of an alternative sort of centerpiece to the Christmas period.
One revelation for me recently has been whole squash cooked in the embers.
Oh, beautiful.
And they're fantastic squash and pumpkins cooked in the embers. And I know from chatting with Jamie recently, he's planning on doing some things like soups and stuff with squashes cooked in the embers, and it's such a great way. It tastes almost like chestnutty. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely beautiful. A lot of people actually, cause I've seen a lot of people experiment in the Country Wood Smoke forum with a lot of vegetables cooked in the embers, which is awesome to see. Not just the dirty steaks. People are starting to push like the onions and like you said, your squashes, but also your like potatoes and sort of sweet potatoes, stuff like that work really well in there. I mean, so many vegetables work fantastically in the embers, so definitely something to experiment with, and you get a completely different sort of flavour, which is really nice.
Yeah, nice one.
Right,
Sounds good.
we are heading right over on the time, so we are going to call it a day here. It was great to have you on, mate. Thank you for calling.
Hang on a minute. Whoa. Hang on a minute. I've got one last thing. You know, you and Ben are always chatting and working out who's the best barbecuer out of the two of you.
Uh-huh.
We've already decided it's
Yeah,
me, though,
well,
so it's fine.
I would smoke the both of you.
You need a pretty big smoker to fit me on.
but in all seriousness, I think it's about time we had a barbecue bromance smackdown, and the two of you have a barbecue off, and we get a couple of judges, and we work out once and for all who's the best barbecuer.
I'm keen. Everyone knows who the winner's going to be anyway, but I'm keen. I would just
You don't want to show
literally
yourself up though now.
cook
do you?
him under a rug. He'll be hiding.
It's time to put your money where your mouth is, boys, and let's have a barbecue bromance smackdown.
All right, we'll have a private chat about that off air, and we can organise something, put something together, because that sounds like good fun for me. An easy win for me.
He's trying to figure a way out of it.
Easy-
That's why he wants to do it off air.
Easy victory for me. I'll turn up with my arms tied by the back.
I'm off back to work. So
All right, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Lots of love, bro. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We've recorded yet another awesome podcast to get you over Hump Day. Bit of a long one today, bit of a different format today, but we're going to be playing around with the format a bit in the future. So, as always, we're brought to you by our awesome sponsors, ProQ Barbecue Gourmet and Smokewood Shack. ProQ is dedicated to providing you with quality smoking products with top-notch service and free advice for beginners to pitmasters, and you can find them on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram under ProQ Smokers. So if you're thinking about buying your first smoker, wanting to upgrade, or even looking for some authentic charcoal commercial smokers, check them out over at Max Barbecue, and they're actually coming on next week and chatting to us about their commercial smokers, the GFCs, Tubby, Stretch. So going to be an awesome little chat with them, and they're over
Hungary?
They're over with their manufacturers this week, so they're also going to bring back lots of extra knowledge and top secret bits for us to chat through, which is going to be interesting. So if there's anything you'd like to find out about the Smokers guys, get in touch, give us an email, PM me or Ben on Facebook, Twitter. If there's anything you'd like to know, any questions you've got about the commercial units from ProQ, the cabinet smokers, not just commercial, I mean there's cabinet smokers for anyone. Great for the competing teams as well. And yeah, so give us a message if there's anything you'd like to know, and we'll throw down the questions on Ty and Ian when we're with them at the ProQ headquarters next week. So tune into that one, guys. It's going to be a good one. And Barbecue Gourmet is devoted to promoting real barbecue and supplying the UK and Europe top championship winning barbecue rubs, sauces, marinades and accessories from the US and around the world. You can find them on Twitter and online under Barbecue Gourmet. So regardless of how you cook, whether it's on charcoal, wood, gas or electric, the real taste of summer can be yours all year round. And Smokewood Shack delivers quality smoking wood every time. They provide the smoky goodness and you provide the talent. So if you're looking for smoking wood chunks, dust, chips or planks, then head on over to smokewoodshack.com. And you can find them on Twitter at Smokewood Shack. And goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you next time, guys, where I will just prove to you that I'm the best barbecue cook.